r/askreddit, what's the most ridiculous rule you've heard someone have for their house/family/children? Oh, my wife didn't have a door on her bedroom until she was a teenager because you shouldn't have to hide anything from your parents. Her mom also would get really upset if she closed her bedroom door at night when she went to sleep. All of the siblings would sleep with doors open. It was a big adjustment for her at first when we got together to sleep with the bedroom door closed. You shouldn't hide anything from your parents, and that's how you learn to hide everything from your parents. My ex Phil had a rule that once he sat down for a meal, only his wife and grown children could get him anything he needed from the kitchen. He would not stand up. That's like my Japanese Phil. My Mill told my wife, because I'll clear the table and do the dishes, with much protest from her every single time. I didn't know men could take dishes to the kitchen. Let me guess, ex Phil also believed all he did was work like a dog all day while everyone else in the house leeched off him. I have a friend whose dad had one paper towel specifically used for eating bagels. You cannot reheat or eat your bagel on anything other than the bagel towel. No plates or bowls were allowed to be used for bagels. You got your turn with the bagel paper towel or you waited till it was free. Just a piece of paper towel that was reused over and over. When I was a kid, I spent a lot of time at my best friend's house. Her mom wouldn't let us drink more than 1 glass of water in the afternoon because she thought it would dilute the nutrients in our body. Instead, she gave us 7-Up if we were thirsty. I ended up secretly drinking water out of the bathroom faucet every time I used the bathroom when I was thirsty at her house. A 7-Up for nutrients. Yeah, with how dumb she sounds, that checks out actually. That sounds like some next level reverse psychology. Wasn't necessarily a rule, but I had a good friend whose mom had locks installed on all the kitchen cabinets to prevent her only child from eating when he wasn't supposed to. When he got old enough to earn money, she took 50% of whatever he made. His senior year in high school, when he turned 18, he came home from school and found all his belongings out in the driveway. Happy birthday, child. My mom and dad let him live with us till he could financially get on his feet. Cavity speedrun. We were never allowed to ask for anything while visiting, even a glass of water. My grandmother prohibited my father, uncle, and aunt from accepting food and drinks while visiting, so they had to refuse and would get beaten up if they accepted anything once they got home. It didn't matter if they were visiting family, they were just not allowed. To this day, I still don't understand why. There was a kid in my neighborhood growing up that was not allowed to chew gum. He soaked a piece of leather in sugar water and chomped on that. His parents were some strange religious nuts. They would scream about the devil if you knocked on their door Halloween night. And they would scream about the devil if you knocked on their door Halloween night. Sounds like a great way to get into the Halloween spirit to me. I worked with someone that said during supper they don't allow their children to eat until him and his wife finished their meal. Dude was an ass, and this tidbit tracked. A friend's parents had a pool table. His mom decided to play with us one day, and gave us the house rules. She said, when it's someone's turn to shoot, I tell them. If someone gets ahead of me, they lose their turn. Everyone plays very hard, and in the end, I win. Well, someone is a sore loser. Cheating so you can win playing against kids seems pathologic to me. That guests have to pay for their stay. They invited me for dinner, then calculated how many minutes I was over, charged for my portion of food, drink, electricity, and water usage. Yes, they counted toilet flushing and timed me on hand washing. I could never do this to anyone. Wow. Sounds like they resented having him around. Did you get a receipt? Holy shit, that violates so many customs of hospitality. Like, there are stories about hosts like that getting cursed or punished by the gods for that kinda shit. Sounds like they don't want guests. Not sure why they invited you at all. When I was younger, a friend said that we weren't allowed to watch SpongeBob. I found out later on that, allegedly, this is because the holes in SpongeBob induce lustful thoughts. Well, to be fair, there's not much that a 14-year-old boy hasn't thought about fucking. My Phil forbade my wife, and tried to forbid my 2 children, from driving once they passed their driving test. His wisdom was put that piece of paper driving license in a drawer for 5 years to reduce the amount of insurance they would pay. Spoken like he was passing down the knowledge of the ancients. Fucking idiot. I know a family who doesn't let their teenage daughters learn how to drive. No reasoning given. They're 16 and 18 and one is going to college soon. In suburban America, it essentially is just a way to restrict your child's freedom. The kids could not watch Barney because it's a dragon. It was a religious family. The theme song quite literally starting with Barney is a dinosaur, which is a real-life creature that once existed. TF. Growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch the Smurfs because demons. I knew a guy who, in his 20s, still had a bedtime enforced. He had to be in bed by 8 p.m., and if he was sleeping over at a friend's house, in this case at my house during my 21st birthday party, he had to phone his dad at 8 p.m. to say he was going to bed. He didn't go to bed though, at least. I had a friend in 5th grade and her mother was legitimately insane. She wouldn't let her daughter come to my house because we had carpeting. I think she had some Munchausen by proxy because she was convinced her child was allergic to everything, including dust mites / any innocuous dirt in carpeting. The girl also developed an eating disorder. She was a dancer when we were kids and her mother apparently monitored what she ate extremely closely. I felt so badly for her. Deleted. If only head steeped in the estrogen soup. I feel like I know the answer already, but were they supportive when he came out? A lady once watched my kids, and the rule was no beverages during a meal. I think she didn't want kids filling up on liquids instead of food. I went to a sleepover at a kid's house when I was 8 and they had the same rule. They also had to chew a certain amount of times and were not allowed to speak during dinner or go to the bathroom. It was so weird I called my parents to come get me. My best friend growing up had to walk around her house on her tippy toes, because her parents couldn't stand hearing her footsteps. Did she grow up to have really well-defined calf muscles? My mum tiptoes, mainly cause she's short and out of habit. You've calves. One of my best friends growing up had super Christian parents. My group of friends loved playing Diablo 2. We would spend weekends at each other's houses for LAN parties. If we ever went to super Christian house, we were not allowed to play Diablo 2 because it included the devil in the game. No matter how many times we explained that the goal of the game was to kill the devil, they would just dig their heels in even more. When I was a kid we used to play a game called Tunnels and Trolls. It was basically a cheap Dungeons and Dragons ripoff, and one of our friends with ultra-religious parents wouldn't let him play because troll is Swedish for devil. To this day I have no idea whether that's even true. Very creepy and controlling. Was this dude otherwise normal? Was he embarrassed about calling his dad? Google Translate seems to indicate that troll translates to, let me check, yes, troll. When my sister was expecting her first boy, I got the baby a little stuffed bunny. Its ears happened to have a floral pattern. She got rid of it because there's no way my boy is playing with flowers. I sat and watched my sil pick through a garbage bag of Duplo and throw out all the pink and purple ones so they wouldn't make her 1-year-old son too feminine. People are so freaking fragile. My sister gave away a Spider-Man toy that I gave my nephew as a birthday present. His older sister told me mom says that we're not allowed false idols in the house, they're really fundamentalist Christians. Did they think Spider-Man is meant to be a god, or do they not allow any human depictions? Family friend wasn't allowed to say the word gross because it was his mom's maiden name. I'm guessing she'd been teased as a kid and hated it. My brother said it in front of him at our house once and the kid freaked out and told my mom he'd said a really bad word. That mom was just making her kid weirder with that one. In college I worked on a project with a girl who had to call her mother every time she relocated on campus. Like, when she left a location and then again when she arrived at the next location. So when she moved from the cafeteria to the library, or when we took a break to go get a coffee and when we left to go back to our dorms, when class started, when she left class, had to call her mom. I avoided her for the rest of college. Yikes, I wonder if she ever stopped. My friend's mom would not allow the word dang in the house as it was one small step from a swear word. She also wouldn't let the kids watch Mary Poppins as it had witchcraft, and kept the sugar under lock and key. Both kids got into hard drugs and ended up in secure treatment facilities. Had a friend who was very much into computer gaming in the late 90s/early 2000s. Voodoo video cards were very much in vogue, but his parents forbade him from using the term voodoo, even in reference to the card. They suggested that he instead call it the V card. The hilarity of the situation was lost on them. My wife once had a friend over for a sleepover when she was little. Suddenly, their mum showed up to take them home. Apparently, the friend had seen beer in the fridge and called her mum crying because of it. They were not allowed to look at, talk about, think about, and especially drink beer. Scared her so much that she called her mum to come get her. My great uncle only allowed one bowl, one plate, one spoon, one fork, one knife, one cup, and one light bulb in his house. He was married with 3 kids. He ate first, then the wife, then the kids by age. When he went to another room, the light bulb followed. Edit, thank y'all for the awards. Edit 2, remove the second mention of the plate. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a winner. That is a foolproof way to create a future alcoholic as a teen. As soon as they become rebellious, the first thing they do is grab a beer. My friend's parents ran a tab for him and his brother. They added up how much they spent on food, clothes, sports, etc., and told the two boys that's how much they would have to pay them back. I remember once we got yelled at for eating his dad's snacks and he added it to the tab. When they graduated, the parents cleared the tab for their graduation gift, so basically they got nothing other than a reminder of how much they cost. Why do people like that have children?